Mr. Zohn, you're writing your doctoral thesis about soccer in the Soviet Union. Could you explain to us the connection between soccer and Soviet politics?
Well, that's a very deep question, to put it bluntly. The real connection is that the Soviet Union and the politicians who run the Soviet Union, they look at football as a way of, or soccer, as a way of expanding the prestige of the state. So, and of the institutions, there's several institutions in the Soviet Union that all are interested in football. So for example, you have the secret police has their own football teams, you have the army has their own football teams, the automobile factory in Moscow has one, and then you also have all sorts of smaller regional republics that have their own teams, and it's all very connected with football because they fund football. These are people with power, political power, and they want to use football as a way of garnering prestige for maybe their republic, for them personally. And there is no, as in Western Europe or in other countries, there is no private football clubs, which is more common in the rest of the world. And this is why it's a bit of a sometimes hard to wrap your head around, especially today when communism is doesn't exist anymore in the Soviet Union.
What would you say is the biggest challenge in your work?
Well, that is the war in Ukraine, which, and now it's also in Russia, that has made this incredibly difficult. And it was difficult even before that. I remember trying to interview Sepp Blatter, who is a former FIFA president, and sending him all these very thoughtful, I thought, questions. And he just did not want to answer any of them. And he knew, I think he suspected that these were questions that are somewhat difficult to answer. And so that's one problem. But the bigger problem is that the war has created all of this instability in the region. And I can't get to the archives in Russia. I'm not a Russian citizen. It's a bit, I've been told it's very dangerous to go as a foreigner. And I don't want to risk that, shall we say, at all. And then what's been the saving grace is that I've been able to go to Switzerland to look at materials, though they don't fill in this gap of knowledge from the Russian archives. It's still something. And then to Georgia, where I did many interviews, but I really struggled with the Georgian language, which I had to learn at the same time as researching. And the saving grace has to be Ukraine, though. Ukraine, their archives, I managed to get access to all their PDFs and scans of all of this material that has been central to my research, and without it, this would be completely impossible.
Soccer is not only your research topic, but also a personal passion. You have been a soccer player since you were a child. Can you tell us the story of how did it come to be that soccer turned from a hobby into a research topic for you?
Yeah, so it starts, like, I think with many boys of my generation and now girls also, that I was watching the World Cups, which is the greatest sporting tournament in the world. I find it even more interesting than the Olympics, but that's always a personal thing. And I remember watching the games in 2002 and 2006 and then going with my friends and playing in the streets. And like many boys in America, there was always the opportunity to play, and I played in many teams at various levels. I continued playing in the universities. I went to Russia to study, and I continued playing. And eventually in 2019, when I come to Wisconsin, I decided that there was something more to football than just playing the sport. And I realized that perhaps, well, I'm much better at thinking than I am at physically playing the game. Maybe there's something there, and I've combined my hobby into this work that I do now.